Greetings friends, welcome back to AI Can Sphere. I'm your host, Valentine Lufunzu. Today we are talking about how to prepare for your research project. Whether you're doing a research project on a social impact mission, it's your work duty, or you're doing an academic paper, there are various steps you need to take to make sure that your project is so excellent. And today I'm handling those actions step by step. I'm sure at the end of your research project, you will have the best results. So before you begin your project, here are some few questions you need to ask yourself before you even write the title of your research project. One is the research so important to people? Because you're not doing the research for yourself, you're doing the research for your community, you're doing the research for your globe or your country, or let's say for your workspace. Then why should anyone care? What is the nitty-gritties that are in your research that will make everyone pause what they're doing to like just give you an ear and listen to whatever you're going to do, or give you a year, or let's say their funds to just carry out that research. Then also you need to ask yourself, are you ready to do that research? Are you the person who is capable to do it? Maybe you might have the ideas, but then you need other resources to make sure you execute your project so perfectly. Maybe you need some personnel. Maybe you're doing a research on the engineering spectrum, and let's say you're an artist, you need some engineers to work on your prototype. You need some let's say videographers to work on your videos, or let's say your photography. And then the last question is, then ask yourself, where and how do you start your research project. I think the 4 questions are so essential, and they will bring you to speed to how to run your project effectively. So then let's dive straight to how to prepare for your research project. Just before I handle how to prepare, I think research project has 3 steps, and one is the preparation. Then we have the bigger part of the bone, which is now the process, the researching itself. Then we have the presentation. Presentation is when you lay down your findings to now a bigger crowd. I'll be handling the three topics step by step in my videos, but today I want us to focus on how to prepare. So when preparing, I will use 4S. Yeah, for the 4S, they're standing for your strategy, your sources, and your skills, and also your support system. So I know strategy is very important, and it doesn't mean you have to be a genius while writing down your strategy. And for strategy, basically is just you coming up with a list, or let me say a to-do list, or a mechanism of how to be unique, how to stand out from the crowd. Because when you're handling a research, it is quoted that an idea taught by one person is equally thought by 5 more people in the room. So how then do you become the best out of the 5? So for research papers, I will handle research papers for academic and career. So for research papers, then you have to start your research early. Research is cumbersome a lot of time. It needs commitment. It also needs time, because we have a lot of back and forth when it comes to research, more so in the scientific spectrum. And if you start early, then you have a lot of times to also just sit down and correct where there are errors. But if you do it on the last minute, I'm not so sure how you'll manage to correct your errors, or how you'll manage to consult, because consulting someone, you're bridging into someone's timetable, and they might be busy, and maybe they'll not get back to you as soon as they can, maybe as soon as you want. Then if you started late, you're giving that person a difficult time to just help you out. You have to also prepare thoroughly, and this is what we're doing today, how to now prepare thoroughly. You can be the 1 out of 5 excellent person in the room if you then be specific. Being specific, I mean, I'll say we have a lot of solutions the world needs, and then you can be the next Elon Musk. But then if you're looking at the general aspect of solutions, you will not be the Elon Musk the world wants. So as much as you might be the genius, choose one topic you're very passionate about, and one topic that you can handle. When you're focusing on one topic, I believe you will have a, if not perfect, an excellent research. Another thing is you need to cite your sources. Even as you create your strategies, create a strategy on how to incorporate your sources in your research, whether it is work, whether it is an academic paper. Create a strategy, whether you're using the systems that are they're aligned by the scholar boards, the scholars boards. Let's say the APA system and the referencing system. You have to also outline it while you're creating your strategies, whether you'll do the incitations while writing the paper, or you'll do the referencing after you've written the paper. And also, while working on the strategy, we have these 3 approaches, research approaches, that cuts across on all research papers you will do. We have the quantitative approach. By quantity, I mean factual, and factual is imperative of the topic, because what research gives us, it gives us an explanation of how, why, and what exactly is happening around a topic. So when you're talking about quantitative, is you having a lot of facts to boost your title. Let me say you're talking about global warming, for instance. You're giving us you're giving us a research findings on why a certain area is prone to this climate at this time. Let me say in August, we are experiencing rains in Africa. Then you're telling us it's because of global warming. Where quantity comes in this paper is you telling us more and describing, being more descriptive in your being wordy, in short, being wordy in your description. So you will have to tell us, we have these are the causes of global warming in African countries. Let's say cutting down of trees, which has led to deforestation, and therefore increasing the exposure of these countries to greenhouse gases. You can talk about the industrialization and how this is in return affecting those countries. So that for quantitative approach is you being wordy. Then we have the qualitative approach. For qualitative, we are looking at how worth are your words. How worth are your words? Yeah, if I am getting it right. So when you're looking at how worth is your word, is don't just tell us for a period of 10 years. For instance, Kenya has lost 10,000 people due to hunger. Give us where you source your information. Is it valid? And don't give us a lot of words to explain why Kenya lost 1,000 people. Give us why specifically Kenya lost a lot of people. You can say most part of Kenya has been experiencing drought due to climate change, and therefore people were lost. I guess the population decreased by 5%, but then that is not substantial enough. That is being wordy. You haven't given us the point. The point is hunger has been caused by the unpredictable weathers in different parts of the country. Then you're trying to boost your point with some factual data that is available, whether online or offline on books. Then the best approach to handle your research is the mixed approach. When I'm talking about mixed approach, I'm evidently saying you have to be wordy and you also have to be meaningful. You have to give us all these facts and advocate for your issue on a paper with 1,000 words, which are very quality, or they're very, like, it is both being quantitative and qualitative at the same time. As much as you're sourcing from different sources, then at the end of the day we can sum up to get meaning out of your research project. So the second S was source. When it comes to source, we have different sources. For ages now, I think books, journals, and articles have been used, and technology hasn't swept them away. We cannot say books are now out of the shelves. We have a lot of libraries around our corners, so books are still essential when it comes to research projects. We have journals, because we have journals and articles running the same, running with the same importance when it comes to research. We also have, now that we are in the 21st century, we are talking about the websites and the research database and the secondary sources you can find. I think now that technology is here, we have a way to collect all this knowledge in books in one site. Let's say you're looking for research in physics. You don't have to walk uh, from Ghana, Accra, Ghana, to, let's say, Edinburgh, to find a book in Edinburgh. You can still research for it. You can still look for an ebook to just substantiate your research paper. Then we have magazine, newsletters, and periodicals. So for this, they just play the same role as books, but on the contrary, these are written by specific organizations or specific scholars, and they are published differently for, like, different countries and different organizations. Then we also have community engagement and conferences. I think all we do as human beings, let's say work or activities or solutions, they're all done in the service of human. So when you're looking at research projects, you either doing it directly to serve people or indirectly to serve people. Then this become as, like, a very important aspect of your research project. That is why community engagement will be an additional point and will make you one best person, the best person out of the 5 people I said at first. Yeah, so you can also attend conferences. I think when it comes to conferences, you meet very sharp people. You meet the smartest people in the room in a lot of conferences, because then people are out here to show off what they have done behind the curtains and what they have collected. And it also exposes you to better ways to handle your research project. And for academic papers and for the scientific papers, I will refer this to websites. I think I have used them in my research, and that is science.gov and the American Association for the Advancement of Science. I think that's then the two websites you can depend on while doing your research paper. So for the source, all those I have started above are where you can source your information. Then how do you sort this information? The first thing is always ask. As much as I am a scientist, I'm also a Christian, and also the Bible states, "Ask and it shall be given unto you." So, while you're asking, then this means you opening that book to find out what is in it. Asking also means you taking off your phone or your laptop to just search and quantify what is on the internet about your research. Then secondly, you have to acquire and assess. After you've asked, you will acquire information. You will acquire a lot of it, I am pretty sure, when you go through the right channels. After you've gotten this like this vast data, you have to also assess its viability, one, assess its accuracy and its importance to your research project. Then after you have assessed and you find the bit of data that you need for your research project, you then apply. Or when you apply it, it means you just inputting it or implementing or working on it on your research project. Then remember to appraise the sources you got your data. That is so important, because then you'll be sued if you are not citing where you sourced your data. And the last 2 points for how to source your data: you will audit after you compiled all the data you've gotten. Make sure you read through it to see whether it is making sense, and whether all those that you've put in that paper is just reasonable enough for other people to see it's useful in their day-to-day life. I will still emphasize on all sources that you've used in your paper. Make sure it is cited. Yes, my lawyers will agree with me and say that citation is important on your paper. And we'll also, thirdly, we'll talk about the third S, which is the skills you need to handle a research paper. And one is creativity. Creativity is what makes a difference between 10 scientists, because we might all be handling global warming, but how I handle it is so different with how another scientist is handling it. Maybe Valentine prefers to handle her research project in a quantitative way. She uses a lot of words, and maybe she uses a lot of diagrams to explain her points. But then we have another ex-scientist who prefers to let me say just create videos, or create what do we say, prototypes or robots to just explain what they have. You see, this makes the research unique. When you're creative, when your points also are not just I would say simple is good enough, but do we need simple anymore? I think simplicity is required, yes, but you're not unique when you're so basic in your research. Then you also need to think critically while doing your research. This is a very important skill when it comes to researching, because you are a problem solver, and you are not giving us solutions that are there already. So you need to think in between the line and also outside the box, and give us something that will either make our life better or easier. Yeah, that is all about solving a problem. Either make people's life better or easier. Then another thing is collaborative skills. We are not an island as human beings, and we tend to depend on other people's on different issues we handle day to day. If you're handling a research project, then it is quite advisable for you to collaborate. Then finally is communication. Communication is an important aspect of research. Whether you're writing that research on a paper, you need to communicate so adequately so that the information is useful for the next person. That is the only way your research will be better. Yeah. And finally, I'm going to talk about the support system you need. That is the final S. Yes, so why is it important to have support? As I said on the other point on collaborative, we are doing this to help the next person. You're not doing that to brag about. Okay, you might be doing it to brag about it, but then you need to solve a problem, either on the next generation or on your neighbor's case. Yeah, so the available support system that are known, you will find out the others that are not known. But the ones that are known, maybe for academic papers, we have supervisors. I think while you're doing your undergraduate or your postgraduate research papers, you have a supervisor, a lecturer, a professor that will be with you to guide you step by step through it. Then the other support system is mentors. Mentors are important aspects even when it comes to career. So when you're handling a research paper, find someone who is a researcher already. Maybe you can volunteer and become a research assistant and learn from them. Then while you're handling your research, you'll be a step ahead. Yeah. Then we have peers. They're very important because then, as much as you're at the same level of knowledge, let me say knowledge or career or let me say the advocacy you're doing, they might have something better that you don't have, or through your collaboration or your peer group, you can get something very useful for your research paper. And finally, you can get investors and funding to be your support system. And all problems we have, I have an opinion that all problems we are facing can be solved through research. And then there is where I call in investors and funding organizations to like just addressing the same issues. You can find someone to invest in your project. Or yeah, we have while in campus, I came across Health Prize. Health Prize is one of the organization that I know funds the best inventive and innovative projects for young people, and winners get to earn $100,000, yes, to invest in their research projects. You can look into the internet and find some other fundings to boost your research. Maybe your research is financial, it has a lot of financial need, and you might use some funders. As you're looking for that, I think because you stayed up to this point of the video, I have some gifts, and the gift is giving you some tips on how to find funding, how to find and apply for funding research grants outside here. And one, specify what the collaborators or the consultancy will contribute to your research. That is so important. And as much as I want to fund, as much as I have the $100,000 to fund into your research project, it needs to align with what I am doing. One, so that is why you need to be specific on how the investors will help your research to grow, and in return, how will you help their brand grow. Then you have to be convincing enough so that I don't feel like you are overusing me, or I am throwing my, or I'm just discarding what I have. It needs to be a countercurrent relationship whereby I am also earning as an investor, and also as the researcher, you're also earning. So be convincing enough that my funds won't go to waste. Then you have to be enthusiasm. You have to convey enthusiasm about your work. You really have, I think, humanity, when it comes to human research, enthusiasm is what makes it different from a robot or an artificial research, because then we have the human aspect in your research that makes it so unique that we really can fund it as an investor. Yes, I want to grow to become an investor after a long stretch of of my career. Then you also finally you have to lend credibility to your proposal. Yeah, be credible enough. Let it be viable, so that I get a reason why I'm investing $100,000 in your research. That is it for today. Thank you for staying tuned till the last moment. You can follow us to know more about how to SU research project on Instagram at AI Caves. Here you can read our articles on LinkedIn at Luhunzo I Valentine. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, that is on AI Can Sphere podcast, and you can follow us on TikTok at AI Can Sphere. Thank you. Bye.